That fan is so loud, damn. Let me turn it off one sec. Alright, that's a lot better. Do you remember this time last year, sitting and watching the sunset? I actually just found some photos from that night. Some things that I didn't remember until I saw them recently. On that one day, everything seemed to work out right. You got off work earlier than usual. I had the car that night. I just remember so clear the way the sun lit up the grass in front of us with that soft, warm orange light. And when it set, the moon was just as bright. How clearly I can remember your heartbeat. Had I never put my ear to another person's chest to experience this before? Or was it just that I had never paid close enough attention to the sound of another person's before that moment? This feels like one of those summers that will never end. The two of us with what seems like infinite time together. You don't understand how special it is until you experience it firsthand, as silly as it sounds. That's kind of the nature of it though, don't you think? It's not special until you go through it. What decides the memories that stay with us the longest? It's always the worst ones that refuse to leave, isn't it? Why is it that sometimes I can't remember certain things at all, and then there are things that will never leave me alone? If happiness requires forgetting, would some of us prefer unhappiness? I have a hard time seeing both the good and the bad at once. Maybe that's the way forward, to be able to see both good and bad alongside each other, instead of flipping back and forth. They say ignorance is bliss, but the feeling of ignorance, not knowing, is the very thing that causes so much anguish. It seems like it's cruel to preach ignorance. Usually, the thing that helps the most is simple clarity, right? I only saw you a couple times before I left. Why is it so hard to make plans? I don't think that anyone is ever too busy to see you. If they can't make the time, it's because they don't want to. I remember the last time we saw each other. It had been so hard to find time, and you had to go to work soon that day anyway. We walked up and down the same street multiple times, talking about nothing really in particular. Our last day. I think you were having a good time. Were you? What were you thinking about? I know that I couldn't focus. How could we spend time on small talk when there were so many other things I wanted to share with you? When you left, I think I also realized I lacked the courage to even bring it up with you, which was rough to think about. Don't be afraid to talk, because when you're unsure of something, you can really just drive yourself crazy with the uncertainty of it. Overthinking a situation is natural, but it's really not going to do a whole lot of help at all, I've realized. I wish you were better at responding to me. I don't know. It shouldn't be a big deal, right? But it seems that when you go that long without replying, something's wrong. It has to be deliberate, right? Why make it so hard? I'm just trying to be real with you. Why can't you give that back? Did we really have anything to start out with? Or am I just making things up? I thought what we had was meaningful, but maybe not. Maybe you thought differently. I really hate to say it, but I've been questioning what I thought I was so connected to over the last few months. I feel like there was something good going on. I was just so confident it was going to work out. Was I naive? I don't think so. Not then, at least. It's natural to be so caught up in the moment like that. Devotion makes it easy to let go of the other things that make you happy. Everybody else shrinks in importance. If I had just said something, I wonder what would have happened. Do you think anything would have changed? I think it would have. I blame myself for not being able to talk about my thoughts with you. It's stupid. What was I afraid of, right? Embarrassment, maybe? Rejection? Scaring you off? Damn. Whatever it is, I still feel it. The anxiety and apprehension, it scared me then, and it scares me now too. We should have been comfortable enough to talk about that stuff with each other. If one side can't do that, there's nowhere it's going to be able to go. How can one side of a relationship be so lopsided? If one is putting in all the work, how can it hope to function? I guess the fact that neither of us brought anything up says something on its own. Is that frightening or comforting to think about? It was meant to happen as it did. It was never meant to happen. I hate that it's so poetic. It really is too bad I couldn't say all this a few weeks ago, though, right? I mean, what am I doing here, just going on and on, working myself up? There's no reason for it. You're not even here. It doesn't even matter.